For more on what the terror attacks in Paris might mean in terms of increased security in the United States, we turn to New York City Police Commissioner William Bratton. Commissioner Bratton, when there is an attack like this in Paris, what do you immediately do in New York?
We significantly ramp up already existing capabilities. There's not a city in America that has the resources that we have here in New York, understandably based on the 9/11 experience. So we are constantly on alert here, but we have the resources to very quickly, as you've seen over the last 2 days, significantly increase our presence at, in this case, many of the French institutions in the city, at our significant areas of public interest, at sporting events, Times Square, areas like that. The attacks in Paris clearly attacked sports stadium, attacked restaurants, nightlife, attacked a entertainment venue, all the things that ICE hates and tries to work against. In New York City, we have no shortage of those, but we also have no shortage of soft targets, which is the problem in the sense that we can protect the larger venues, if you will. But the soft targets, we're going to have to rely very heavily on public awareness, as we always try to do. See something, say something. We have very active offense in terms of our intelligence gathering capabilities with the FBI. Matter of fact, this week we celebrate the 35th anniversary of the Joint Terrorism Task Force here in New York City. We also have extraordinary defense capabilities, as you've seen in the last couple of days. And if an event were to occur, that we have been training very vigorously to deal with the active shooter concept, the idea of going in. What's new with this one is we're going to have to take a very careful look at what happened in Paris, is the fact that every one of these individuals apparently was prepared to die and was equipped with a suicide vest. That's something we need to be aware of in terms of protecting our first responders as they go into the situation, as we now train them to do.
Have you been informed by intelligence officials about any heightened threat as a result of this or in the wake of Paris?
This is the new paradigm we're now going to have to deal with. As your previous guest just talked about the concern about going dark, as the head of the FBI has described it. These apps, these devices that now allow these terrorists to operate effectively without fear of penetration by intelligence services. This is the first example of this. I'll be very interested for our purposes to see what type of phone devices were they carrying, what type of apps might have been on those devices. We, in many respects, have gone blind as a result of the commercialization and the selling of these devices that cannot be accessed either by the manufacturer or, more importantly, by us in law enforcement, even equipped with the search warrants and judicial authority. This is something that is going to need to be debated very quickly, because we cannot continue operating where we are blind, which is our offense, gathering intelligence and acting on it. The French clearly in this instance had no understanding that this was going to happen, and we've seen the ramifications of that.
In the past, there's been concern about lone wolves in America, but what Mike Morrell just described earlier is a much more coordinated operation. Has that changed the approach for you, or is that why the getting at the communications, these encrypted communications, is that why that's so much more central than it might be for just a lone wolf who's been self-radicalized?
For the last 2 years, we have been adjusting significantly our strategies here in New York, indeed in America, but speak specifically to New York. After Mumbai and when I was chief in Los Angeles, we adapted the capability to respond to multiple events. We have significantly ramped up our capability in New York to deal with multiple events similar to what just occurred in Paris. But what we are also doing as part of our efforts is trying to deal with the social media skills of Al-Qaeda. ISIS, different than Al-Qaeda, has mastered social media. They have now clearly understood the ability to spread fear by not only just building up the caliphate, but taking on the West in the sense of the plane bombing, taking on the West with the massive bombings in Lebanon, and now the multiple attacks, coordinated attacks in Paris. All of these are issues we're going to have to look closely at as we go forward, trying to protect our interests as well as our offense in terms of trying to understand what happened here and how do we access it. This event is in many respects similar to the events of 9/11 in terms of the game-changing aspect of it.
Okay, Commissioner Bill Bratton, thank you so much for being with us.